Hello there, beautiful, and welcome back to The Dark Alchemist. In today's reading, we will look at how you can set yourself free. We will look at a micro change that you can do so as to not overwhelm yourself. We will look at how this micro change ties into the bigger picture of this change that you're being called to do, as well as some more practical advice on how you can not only make this change but also take care of yourself along the way. When we think about setting ourselves free, we often have this image in our mind, this idea that it's one large, huge, liberating action that we need to take, and then we're set free. And while this moment of breakthrough can feel like this is the one last action I needed to take, when we're actually looking back at any moment that we did have a breakthrough, and we're honest with ourselves, we realize actually it was not one huge liberating action. It was more of a marathon that we've been running. Let me explain what I mean here. What I'm referring to is this moment of breakthrough is us running through the finish line of our race day. On race day, the finish line, the 42K, we hit that. But in order to get there, there was a lot of not only running the 42K to get to the finish line, but also all of the training that went in beforehand to prepare our body, to strain our bodies, allow our bodies to rest and recover, then do some strength training, do some stretching, learn proper running form. You know, there are lots of factors that come into running a marathon and making it to a finish line of a race, any race. And it's kind of the same when it comes to setting yourself free, when it comes to breaking a habit or building a new habit or releasing a limiting belief or you know, fit whatever you can think of here. And it's not one time that you're thinking, oh no, today I am thinking positively, and you're doing that one time and then you're set free. It's the repetition of this action, but this action ripples out into other areas of your life. If we take positive thinking, it's, or let's say not wanting to catastrophize everything, it's a continuous action that you're taking of checking your thoughts, checking your emotions, of learning perhaps to work with your body in a specific way, specific breathing methods to calm the system down. And it's like a regular training almost that you're going through in order to come to this breakthrough moment where you realize, okay, maybe there's like one, like a fever, you know, like one last bad spout of something, and then you're through it, and then you feel like things have actually shifted on a bigger scale. And it's the same when it comes to setting yourself free. So I thought for today's reading, we would go into these smaller changes that you can make in order to get yourself to that finish line of breaking free. And it's not just like a small step, but it's in fact a stepping stone towards that. So I'm going to be very strict with your spirit teams today to only give me one thing, because when we want to set ourselves free, there is usually a buttload of things that we feel like we need to do, or we need to change, or we don't know where to start, and it can feel super overwhelming very, very easily. So I'm gonna be very strict with them when I pull all of the cards and say we're doing one change only. So I'm expecting this reading to be a lot shorter than my regular ones, but let's see, I like to talk. And we're gonna start off actually by taking a deep breath, and then we will pull our 3 piles on camera today. Okay, so let's all of us take a deep breath in and out together. Take a deep breath in and out. Excellent. Now pre-shuffled this off camera already. And let's see. So my beautiful spirit teams, please give me 3 piles for today's reading. How can my collective set themselves free? Wow, I couldn't even finish. Okay, that was very clear straight away. All right, so that was pile number 1. Let me have this. This was pile number 2, and this one came out last, I believe. Also, by the way, of course, setting ourselves free with the symbolism of the birds. I felt really drawn to them, and yeah. I mean, we already have like one bird represented in our decorum today. So for pile number 1, we have turkey. For pile number 2, we have kingfisher. For pile number 3, we have the peacock. And let me add the crystals now. For pile number 1, we have this piece of moss agate. For pile number 2, we have this piece of Dalmatian jasper. And for pile number 3, we have tourmaline. I'm going to zoom in a bit for you now and give you about a 30-second meditation, or more like a minute, with some music. So do take a couple of deep breaths, ground yourself, and then see which pile or maybe piles you feel drawn to. You'll find the timestamps down below, and I'll see you on your selected piles. If you felt drawn to this wonderful turkey card, then welcome to your reading. And we will actually start this off by reading from the guidebook of this, because these descriptions for these cards are very, very precise, and I think it's a good starting point for us. So let me just bring this up for you so that I can read for you. I am turkey, the giveaway bird. I am gratitude. I am nourishment. I am the sacrifice of the soul. I am martyrdom and the reason we hold fast to our beliefs. I am plentitude and harvest. I am the path of service and humility. I relinquish the ego. I renounce the self. I am the benefit of the greater good. You are being asked to serve a purpose. You are being guided to put something else first. Without empathy, we do not evolve. I am the life of charity. I am the bounty that can be shared with others. Look around to see who needs you. Your own needs may have to wait for a while. I am the spirit of living honorably. There is quiet dignity in servitude. You are a vessel for greater good. You are compassion. You are giving of yourself. You are Turkey. Now, I find that's an interesting starting point. I only have one little message to say about the guidebook and or being someone who is in service of others or taking care of others to some capacity. This one sentence of your own needs may have to wait for a while, I heavily disagree with that. Particularly if you're someone who is in service of others, your own self-care is incredibly important because you cannot empty your cup into someone else and there's nothing left for you. Like you're just going to burn out. So that's one thing that I always, when I read this out loud, I need to mention straight away that actually I think it's the opposite. It's the more that you give of yourself, the more that you also need to fill your own cup again, to make sure that the energy keeps flowing. Okay, but anyway, so let me actually pull a couple more cards and then we will put this into context. So the 2 additional cards I want to pull into this are 2 ally cards. These are energies that are helping you with this process of setting yourself free. The first one is Purification with Trout. And the second one is Strength with the Elk and Ash. Now let's have a look at the topic. Like, what is this referring to? What is this setting yourself free about? We have the Peacock's Tail. And we have Sun's Splendor. This is really interesting because the card of the Peacock's Tail, so one of the topic cards, speaks about shifting from a focus of just me to a multiplicity of perspectives. It's basically kind of like a peacock's tail where you have all of these different eyes that are open. I mean, we have 2 right here as well. And being able to see not only your own perspective, but seeing other perspectives as well. And it's kind of a shift from I'm right, you're wrong to I understand your perspective and I see where you're coming from, and you can be right and I can be right based on where we're coming from. So there is a like an opening in a lot of different facets when it comes to this. And what I find interesting with this is the multiplicity of our perspective. So it's like an opening, it's a type of awakening. It's an opening from me to a more collective mindset. The Turkey card also spoke about being called into service and giving something to others. And Sun's Splendor here is speaking about creating this vision of, I mean, when you look at the card, you can already kind of get the vibe of this. It's this image of being in a community filled with abundance. It's the fulfillment of everything that you think of. It's basically heaven on earth that is depicted on this card. And a huge factor of this card, the Sun's Splendor as well, is that you're able to give in abundance and you're able to receive in abundance. So there's something here about the topic in which you have been interacting with other people have been interacting with you, and about pouring your energy and either learning to get nothing in return and basically going dry, going empty. And what's being purified here, now we have these 2 ally cards. What's being purified here with the trout and the lily of the valley is, you see, this is a fish here. So we have the emotions that are being highlighted in a purification of the emotions. When we think about being of service or giving too much of ourselves to others and getting not a lot in return. There is, on the emotional level, a self-belief present of needing to be useful to others in order to be loved. That's one thing. And on another level, we have some kind of relationship pattern that we learned, where we learned that it's okay for us to receive very little while we need to give a lot. So basically there is a feeling of not being good enough present as well. With the trout and the lily of the valley, with this card of purification and this water that's highlighted for me, there is this process in your emotions of cleansing and purifying and working your way through these emotions of these old painful experiences that you've had. And you have the strength to work your way through them. So these are your two allies. And listen, if that's a pattern that you have, that's not an easy pattern to release. It's not an easy pattern to experience at all. I get that a lot. And particularly coming into I would say like a positive way of being of service. It's a marathon. Like it's a marathon to unlearn all of this, because there are also, when it comes to being of service, a lot of people do still or go into this kinds of jobs or works or relationships. I think actually it's particularly when it comes to jobs, of being caretakers of others, because they've come from this home life where that's what they learned, but they never learned how to take care of themselves efficiently, in a sense of they will always put others first and eventually they will run dry. And I think that's particularly when it comes to any type of taking care, healthcare, taking care of someone else in whatever capacity. I think that's something that a lot of healers in the broader sense have to face at some point, that actually this is not sustainable and healthy for me. And that's the topic that is setting you free, to realize, actually, no, this is just one perspective. This is like a way that I learned as a conditioning in my childhood or when I was growing up, but that's actually not how it needs to be. Like, it's not the only way that giving and receiving can be. There can be a balance, there can be a flow. You know, I can soften, I can also allow myself to be held. It's that type of energy that they're bringing through. Okay, let's have a look at the story that you're telling yourself, or the story that's connected to this. And we have the Tower. And we have the Queen of Wands here. Now with the Tower and the Queen of Wands, I'm getting that they're basically, the Queen of Wands is describing your initial energy that you had, and the Tower represents the experiences that you've had. So basically where this sense of self was shattered. Now let's look at the Queen of Wands and what this means. The Queen of Wands is an energy that is incredibly courageous. She's very independent. She's quite creative, and she can also be a social butterfly. And I'm getting this feeling that this is about the relationships that you've had, and about the way that you conducted yourself, where you were basically like a free loving, free giving, like creative energy that was highly independent, loved to be surrounded by people, or at least by a specific type of people, and you just enjoyed giving because it's in your nature. It's something that is very inherent of your character, actually. It's a beautiful energy that you have, I gotta say. We see also here the sunflower, and they're showing me like a whole field of sunflowers and kind of showing me this image as the essence of your energy right now. So it's someone who's always quite optimistic, or was always quite optimistic, looking towards the sun, facing the sun, being in abundance, being in bloom, being self-assured, and just like a lot of fun as well to be around. beautiful energy. And with this Tower card, there is something happened. Something happened that shifted this, that basically turned this upside down. And the reversed Queen of Wands speaks of someone who's introverted and someone who needs to reestablish a sense of self. So there was a hit, like not just a hit, actually they're calling me like a fracture, like a huge fracture in the skull is kind of what they're showing me right now. It's okay, this is, I don't know how to describe this. It's like you're standing on the floor in a very dry area or something, and you see like a huge crack going through the landscape, and it's very deep and it's just dark, like you cannot see the bottom and you don't want to find out what's there. That's kind of the like depth of the fracture that they're showing me. So there was like a huge fracture and you started to become a bit more introverted, and not that there's something wrong with that, but the introversion is kind of a shying away from people, and not wanting to be taken advantage of, not wanting to be seen in that way. And there is a problem when it comes to intimate relationships of not being trusting of one another, not being trusting of one another, because you've had a lot of experiences that have showed you that this is what's happening, and you can't fully give and receive. So that's why we have the Sun Splendor here, because this card also speaks about, is this place even real on our earth with everything that's going on? So there's a sense of disbelief that present in your energy of, is it even possible to be in a balanced relationship or balanced friendship? You know, when I say relationship, I mean every possible relationship. Is it even possible to give and receive in balance? Is it possible to be in service and off service while also still filling my own cup? That's the story. So you're telling yourself on some level that that's not possible. That this vision of a balanced give and take in whatever capacity, because it's different for all of you, is not possible. All right, let's have a look at the change. The change that you can conduct in order to move energies around here. I pulled a few cards for you. And the first one that we have is Illumination. And what I'm getting with this card is that you're being asked to become aware of all the areas of your life that are affected by this belief, as well as becoming aware of what this belief even is. So what is your I am statement? Is it I am unlovable? Is it I am not worthy of deserving, or not worthy of deserving love? What is it? What is your I am statement? That's one major thing that needs to change, is that you need to develop more of an awareness for what's going on. Because when you look at this as well, and in the back here, you see all of the fog that's around. So things are a bit hazy right now because you're more so in the earlier stages of addressing this, and you kind of want to go to the mountaintop all the way in the back. But like I said, this is a marathon, and you don't need to do everything all at once and change everything all at once. And you start with the awareness, and it can feel in the beginning kind of like awareness is not moving enough, but awareness is the absolute key. Because when you change anything, you first need to have the awareness of what's going on, because then you know what needs to be changed. And you can start to take the small steps. So the awareness is key. So awareness is the first, and like you finding out your I am statements, where what's going on there. You can do, I will stop. Let's see what we have here. We have Saraswati, goddess of art, music, knowledge, and eloquence. We have love, open heart, and kindness. We have wisdom, intuition, and divination. We have, introspection. And we have focus, productivity, and creativity. Let me rearrange that for a second. Okay, so the micro change that you can do, or the one step, the one training step you can do along this marathon, is for you to allow yourself to love yourself. And I don't mean to only tell yourself that you love yourself. I mean, show yourself that you love yourself. Show yourself that you are worthy and deserving of the same care that you have extended to others. And one area where you can employ this and show yourself this love and kindness towards yourself is in your creativity. So you have some kind of hobby that can be very beneficial here, because we have two cards about creativity, art, music, knowledge, eloquence. Whether that's, for some of you that's writing is what I'm hearing, but some of you are, because I'm being drawn as well to her like playing the instrument. Some of you are more singer-songwriters, but there's some kind of creative pursuit that either you wanted to try always, or that you have done for a long time, maybe put it off to the side for a while, where you can do that. I feel like you have been very harsh with yourself when it comes to this, of feeling not good enough, and like lots of other actually nasty things that you thought about yourself in this realm of creativity. I will say nasty because like it's not your own voice, it's something that you picked up along the way, but just not being very nice to yourself. And this is one area where you can start to extend that kindness to yourself, because you see, you don't, like when you start showing kindness to yourself in one area and treating yourself better in one area, it tends to bleed out in all of the other areas. And that's what's really, really important. So you pick one area of your life, one thing where it's more easy for you to extend that towards yourself. And then you allow that feeling to grow. Because once you start feeling a particular way, or start feeling better about yourself, you start to treat yourself better in all other areas of your life. When it comes to the creativity, for example, can be that you are just allowing yourself to create, that you're allowing yourself to learn something new, and not necessarily share it with everyone, but keep it to yourself, and be kind and gentle in assessing that you're learning something new, that, you know, being kind in the way that you speak to yourself. We have here wisdom, intuition, divination, and introspection. And I'm being drawn to the intuition part. Intuitively, I feel like you know that the service that you want to offer is connected to your creativity, and that's why this is highlighted and coming up that way. And that's why it's particularly important for you to do this, start doing this micro changes and applying them into your day-to-day, because what you're creating and your craft is really important for you to share, because it's important for all of us, myself included, to hear and experience in this world. We need to hear it. And now that we're at this point, I feel like I know at least one more reading that I've given recently, where your energy came through in one of the piles very, very strongly. I'm not going to say which one. But what I just said, if this familiar for you, let me know in the comments down below. But what I wanted to say is it's important for you to share it, because it's important for us to hear it. And because this art, I'm just going to say art as a general term, okay, that you want to share with us is coming from a very pure place, it's important for you to set up the right foundation for it. And that's what you're doing. You're doing this foundation work, this having the awareness of sharing, because some of you will be on a rather big stage and you want to be there in a healthy and balanced way. It's easy enough when you have a lot of eyes on yourself to become unbalanced and to give too much, because when people start loving your stuff, they tend to ask for a lot of you. And you need to have some healthy boundaries to be able to give, to be able to fill your own cup so that you can continue doing the work that you want to do. So that's really, really why this is so important. So important for you that you start making this micro change. And like I said, this is to do for you by yourself in your creativity, just the way that you are interacting with yourself when you're creating, being very loving to yourself, being very kind in the way that you speak to yourself, while as well asking this question of what is going on, what is my I am statement. As well, when it comes to creating and being of service, there is this idea of, I mean, you just have a look at YouTube and how different people create on this platform. You see that some people are creating in a very unsustainable way, where you can just tell by the output that they have. You can kind of tell that at a sooner or later point, like, they will run into a burnout. You can just see it. And that's basically the shadow side of the turkey of giving without filling my own cup and essentially running dry. And there are also some people who are creating in a more sustainable way, where they give what they can give and they have their boundaries. And it might be important for you actually also to look for some people who are more on that side of the coin, of being aware how much they can give sustainably and building things bit by bit. All right, with introspection, we spoke about this already a bit with the illumination and like, what's my I am statement? And you're being called to introspect. There's nothing more I can say about this, to be honest. This card is so clear. Draw inwards. Look for the water. Look for the source. Yeah. This is a reading that I have for you today, my beautiful pile number ones, about the one micro change that you can take on setting yourself free. I hope you enjoyed this reading. This was very, very pleasant, and I, for one, am incredibly curious to see what you're going to create in the future, and particularly which vision you're going to create in the end, because this is beautiful. Like, the energy is beautiful, your Queen of Wands energy is beautiful, and I'm going to be so happy to witness that at some point, whenever you're ready, of course, whenever you reach the marathon line. And let me know how this resonated in the comments down below, please. Around this topic of setting yourself free, there are going to be 2 additional goodies for this week. One will be a short EFT tapping session to help you release some emotions around setting yourself free and holding yourself back. That's the flip side of that, right? And the second one will be a 30-minute Reiki treatment, where the Reiki energy helps you cleanse and heal any of these emotions that may be a bit more stuck in your system. Perhaps some of them have manifested physically, etc. Both of these coming out later this week. If they already are, you'll find them in the pinned comment down below. If you enjoyed this reading, leave me a like, and if you like my energy, do consider subscribing. And have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye. If you felt drawn to the Kingfisher card and the Dalmatian Jaspis, welcome to your reading. And we will kick this off by actually reading from the guidebook of the Kingfisher, because I love the way that these cards are described. What? You know what I mean. So we have Kingfisher. I am Kingfisher, master of the deep. I am retrieval of the past. I am seeker of the unknown. I am the one you sent into the darkest waters of the mind. I am discovery. I am the extraction of what hinders movement. I am restoration. You have hidden something beneath your surface. I will release you from what ties you to the bottom. Things must come to light now. Indecision must be washed away. I am the promise of new warmth and abundance. I am the one who restores the calm. There is no greater catharsis than the renewal of consciousness. You are release. You are calmer of the... You are calmer of... You are... You are release. You are a claimer of the dark waters. You are subconscious alignment. You are Kingfisher. That's a very powerful card to get, and I'm smiling a little bit because when I pulled your cards, I actually got a direct message for you, and it does tie in with your reading, but I will tell it to you regardless. The one message that I heard was, you need to calm the fuck down. Some of you are laughing right now, you know. So let's see. Let's go a bit deeper before I speak more about this card. I did pull some ally cards, so there are some energies that are supporting you in setting yourself free, because like I said, we're looking at a micro change or a micro step that you can take along this marathon of setting yourself free. And you got some allies along the way. We have overcoming obstacles with the goat and willow. We have the finch and peach with romance. And let's look at the topic of setting yourself free. Oh, that's difficult to say, hey? We have chaos. We have yellowing. And you got a third card. You got the card of blood. And all of these three cards are tying in with the Kingfisher, because the Chaos card speaks about, I mean, when you look at this card, you can kind of already see it. This card speaks about feeling disoriented. You see here, it's kind of like which side is up in this card. You have the moon here, you kind of have the treetops there, but you have people standing there, and you have a spider web there. And the spider web is also showing that this feeling of being disoriented is connected to feeling ungrounded. So there is a lot of turmoil in your energy, or a lot of like chaos energy in this topic, or the chaos energy is a bit of the topic. With yellowing, this card speaks about a transition, about a change, about releasing and something new coming. And it's a transition. Basically, the transition is here whether you like it or not, is the message that this card brings. So there is a change in this energy to this or the topic. I can't speak with your pile. I'm so sorry. So, let me start this again. So the topic of you setting yourself free is about releasing this ungroundedness, releasing this feeling of disorientation. And this changes here whether you like it or not. And we got the blood here. Now this card freaks out a lot of people simply because it says blood, but this card refers to the physicality of the body. In the context of these two cards with the transition and feeling ungrounded, I'm getting two messages. The first message is that there needs to be a change in the way that you are working with your body, and that's part of what will set you free, is your relationship with your body. And I mean, we have this like counterposed with the chaos card, or with the card of feeling ungrounded. So there is a need to come into physicality to become grounded. This is also if we're staying in an anxious state too long, for example, it can have real negative impacts on our health all around, right? Because it's not good for the body to constantly be in a fight or flight mode or freeze or fawn, whichever side you're leaning towards, or sides, because, you know, mostly it's more than one. And the second message here with the blood card that I'm getting is that the topic of this transition is, because I said the change or the transition is here whether you like it or not. It's almost this feeling of this change that needs to take place, or you setting yourself free when it comes to your body is also feeling at home in your body. And this change is almost, for some of you, it's more forced upon you, in the sense of your body has started to show real signs of being in this chaos energy, or being ungrounded and disoriented for too long. Maybe that's why it's difficult for me to speak, because I'm tapping into your energy. And like I said, I felt this feeling of anxiety as soon as I started to shuffle all of your cards. And I even have like one deck that just didn't want to shuffle at all, which is weird. Okay, but let's look at the allies that you have. We have overcoming obstacles. I can speak, wow. We have overcoming obstacles and romance. With the goat and willow, I'm particularly being drawn to the quality of the goat of being not only able to climb very, very steep mountains, and being able to have stability on the tiniest amounts of footholds, but I'm particularly as well drawn to the stamina that they possess. So there's a real, like, your ally is your stamina, is your sheer will and determination to get through this, to keep climbing, the stamina to keep overcoming obstacles. And we have romance here as a supportive energy. So some of you either have or will find some kind of romantic partner that will be a real rock for you in helping you overcome this. And I mean, the Kingfisher spoke about diving deep, and that it's time now for you to address something, and that it's impossible for you to keep ignoring something any longer. So already we're getting a very, very clear topic here for you. I pulled some cards to look at the story that you're telling yourself. And at first we have the Nine of Wands. And the Nine of Wands speaks about you feeling like you have been through battle, you have been defeated on some levels. And it's a feeling of being on edge, because even if some battles you did win, and when I say battles, that can be like fights with other people, can be even battles of your own mind, like being sucked into it, and sometimes just being so overwhelmed by it and feeling, like lost, disoriented because of what's going on, that there is this feeling of like distrust. There's a distrust energy happening here. So we have the Sun. So this speaks about everything that's beautiful and good, all of the abundance, literal sunshine. And when we bring sunshine into the image of the mind, then it's a positive mind, it's a happy mind, it's a warm mind, it's a place, it depicts your mind as a place where things are flourishing and growing and are supportive and are abundant. Much like this garden that you have here, you have the happy inner child that is just fully themselves and expressing themselves in whatever comes to their mind, they're going to express themselves this way. Like freedom of the mind is what I'm getting here. So, okay, let's look at the last card that we have. Okay, we have Queen of Cups. So there is the mind and emotion connection that is highlighted for me right now. Let me put this into context for you, because I just gave you three three like brief descriptions of this. The story that you're telling yourself is that because you have been overwhelmed by your mind so many times and got lost in your mind so many times, that it's impossible for you to reach a state where your mind is a place that you actually like to be, that you enjoy being, that is a place where your ideas can flourish, where you can nourish yourself, and yeah, just be this like sun-filled garden, like this just massively abundant garden of your mind. You feel like it's somehow it's impossible because you've been defeated so many times by your mind, and all of the battles, like all of the battle wounds that you carry from the past, and working through that. And we have Queen of Cups here. The mind and emotion connection is that the mind or thought, let's say thought and emotion are fueling each other. It's not 100% clear which one is the starting point. It's the chicken or the egg. Was which one was here first? It's that kind of question. But they influence each other in the sense of the more that you keep thinking a thought, the more that you keep reinforcing the feeling, the more you keep reinforcing the feeling, the more you keep thinking similar thoughts, right? And it's this spiral that can really take you downwards. And that's this like image that I'm getting with this, that this is what you've been through. This is the chaos that's depicted here. And this is taking like a huge toll on you already. So that's why it needs to change. But that's the story that you're telling yourself. It's not possible for you to change that. Okay, let's look at the cards of change, i.e. what you can do to change this. Like what's the micro change that you can take? The first card that we have for you here is Stillness. And it's interesting that in this card we see the frozen tundra that is depicted because it is a barren landscape all year round. There's like no trees are growing there, for example. But at the same time, it speaks of a period of time where things need to come to a halt. Let's look at your other cards before I say more. We have Healing. Welcome healing into your mind, body, and life. We have Jade, emotional and physical healing. Yeah, that's Queen of Cups energy as well. Let me put this up here. We have Pink Quartz, love, open heart, and kindness. We have Kali, goddess of rebirth and transformation. And we have for you Celestite, calm, inspiration, and serendipity. Let me make this a bit more neater. Okay, for you, like I don't want to freak you out, but I also need to be honest. For some of you, this is not a please start doing this. For some of you, this is more of a plea and a warning. And it's like I never use the word warning lightly in any reading because people start to get really nervous. But this is like urgent for you to do. This is urgent. You are being called to take care of your physical body and to also get some professional help in this. You need to have some more support in dealing with this chaos of your mind in whatever way fits you and suits you. I'm saying that because the Stillness card speaks about things needing to come to a halt. It's like waiting, having basically like a full stop and just like waiting for things to thaw out again, to basically like waiting for a season to change, like waiting for things to thaw out again before you can go and continue with something new. And we have this huge focus on the healing, on the mind, body healing, emotional, physical healing. I mean, we don't have a lot of cards here today, and these are two cards, and I already picked that up when I spoke about the Queen of Wands here as well. I also spoke about emotional healing here. And the yellowing, one of the meanings of the yellowing is not just the transition, but it's also warning. Like it's also can also be a card of warning. So and we have the snake depicted here as well, which is a symbol of healing as well as transition. It's like shedding the skin. We have the heart highlighted here as well, and I mean, with these two here, it's once you start working on it, it's incredible to find out how much we can regulate our minds and our mental health through taking care of our bodies and moving our bodies and learning techniques to regulate, for example, our nervous systems. There are so many simple things, simple techniques that you can research and look up and start doing actually today. And that's the micro change that they are bringing me to, is for you to research that kind of topic and to find something very, very simple, something soothing that doesn't take a lot of time. Self-soothing is a topic here that they're highlighting because that's something that all of you can do, regardless of your current financial situation, whether or not you can get additional healthcare support or not, because again, that will be different for all of you. But something that every single one of you can do is to look up techniques to self-soothe, techniques to regulate the nervous system. There's like something, they're bringing me to something that I saw, I think last week or something. I watched a video about that as well, because I'm interested in this topic in general. And about like self-touch. And that sounds kind of weird when I say it like that, but it's basically like you holding yourself, you giving yourself physical comfort, you like gently massaging yourself, for example. Like that's a spot you can, for example, now for the rest of the reading, if you want to actually massage yourself here. So it's about three fingers width between your wrist, and that's the point to like gently massage. It's something that I know from EFT tapping, because I'm a practitioner, and it's something that I know is a soothing spot, and we use a lot when we are speaking in sessions, you know, between tapping rounds, etc. And that can be something that you can do already. Tapping, for example, could also be something for you to do, to find some tapping about anxiety, releasing thoughts, allowing your body and system to calm down, and go ahead and look and research more of these practices to allow yourself to calm down. Really, like the calming down is the first step that you need to do. So finding things for you to soothe yourself down. That's the first spot, the first part of setting yourself free of this is to calm down. Because like even when you look at these two cards here, you see that they have their eyes closed. Okay, so there is but it's like a peaceful way of having their eyes closed, right? It's not an being drawn inwards with racing thoughts. It's like a peaceful energy that both of these are projecting. If you do have any of the crystals that are mentioned here, like for example the jade, the pink quartz, or the celestite, that could also be something that you can work with like holding it while you're doing some breath work, for example, or having it on you while you're sleeping. You know, for some of you it's a piece of jewelry, and for some of you you can put it on your bedside table, etc. But again, like the number one micro change that you can take is to start implementing techniques every day. It doesn't need to be long, it doesn't need to be an hour long. You can start with 5 minutes each day of starting to implement some self-calming, self-soothing techniques. Okay, we have pink quartz here with love, open heart, and kindness. And this is an act of kindness towards yourself, for you to start soothing yourself, you starting to allow your system to calm down. It's loving. It's a loving act towards yourself, and it's a way for you to be kind to yourself, because there are so many different ways in which we can work our way out of the chaos mind and into a garden of our mind, or growing and cultivating a garden of our mind that is represented by the sun card here. And one way is by working with the body. You can go to therapy speech therapy, I mean, but you can also start working with the body. There are so many connections in the body. And for you, because your mind is kind of spiraling, they're really drawing me to let you know that, okay, start grounding yourself, start the calming down. And that's why we have the goddess of rebirth and transformation. This is not a small shift. This is a big shift. And it's a big shift despite being such a small technique to employ, is what I'm getting. So this is like really like a small key, and this already will start shifting the story that you're telling yourself, because once you start regularly doing this small activity, this small like self-soothing, this like little breath work, the little self-soothing, the little massaging when you feel anxious, and you start to actually connect with yourself and your body in a different way, and letting your body know, okay, I am safe, I can relax, because like massaging yourself and touching yourself and holding yourself are all ways that when we were children, ideally, we were soothed by the people around us. And it was a way for children to learn that actually they're safe. And the same like principles still apply, because massaging yourself gently is kind of a way to let your body know that it's safe to relax, you know? So you can kind of bypass the mind almost. It's like becoming present in your body again, becoming grounded again. It draws the energy out of the mind and into the body, and that makes it, that creates peace. And already you starting to employ that every day, just like 5 minutes or something, will start to make this whole story of yours shift and crumble and open it up a bit, because you start to realize, actually, when I do these small things, you know, maybe I'm not as lost as I thought I was. Maybe there is hope. Maybe I can change somehow. So that's what they're drawing me to. And then we have here, I mean, as a last card, we have calm, inspiration, and serendipity. Like I said, you will do this once you start doing all of these smaller things, these small self-soothing techniques. You are instantly increasing your calm. You are instantly increasing your calm, and you're also increasing your capacity for inspiration as well, right? Because then there is space in the mind, more space and feeling of serendipity. And yeah, that's very, very, that's a good microstep. I love that. Okay, my beautiful pile number 2 that's the short reading that I have for you today about a microstep that you can take about or on your journey to setting yourself free. And surrounding this topic, there will be 2 more additional goodies this week. The first one will be an EFT tapping session around releasing what's holding you back. That will come out later this week. And the second one will be a 30-minute Reiki treatment. Also where, you know, like we will cleanse and work with the Reiki energy, cleanse, heal, release, whatever your system is ready to flush out. And if they're already out at the point that you're watching this, because all of this is timeless, you will find it in the timestamps down below, not in the timestamps, in the pinned comment, but also in the description box. And that's the reading that I have for you today. If you enjoyed this reading, I would love it if you would leave me a like. I would love to hear your thoughts as well, how this resonates with you. And if you start doing some techniques as well, you can also start to drop some videos or articles or something that you found that you connected with down below, so we can start a little resource bank for everyone else who watches this and has this pile. And if you enjoy my energy and want to see more, consider subscribing. And that's it. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye. If you felt drawn to the wonderful peacock card, welcome to your reading. And we will actually kick this off by reading from the guidebook, because this will give us a good idea of our starting point, and the way that things are described in this guidebook are magnificent. I love this deck. Okay. We have Peacock. I am Peacock, the glory of multifaceted expression. I am everything that shimmers. I am all that radiates. I am divinity manifest in physical form. I am the power of flash and the influence of physical beauty. I am the reflection of inner grace on the outside. I am the mirror of everything magnificent. You need to accept and own your body, for it is a mirror of the soul. To be aware of spirit is essential, but not to the exclusion of physicality. We take our forms for a reason, to express our uniqueness in the world. Vanity is no sin, but a deep appreciation of our creation when grounded in a healthy love of self. Break out the colors, fluff the feathers, don your finest threads. I have come to teach you how to flaunt with grace, emanating a true beauty from every facet of your being. You are beauty inside and out. You are body, mind, and spirit. You are effortless charm. You are peacock. And before I dive deeper into this, let's have a look at your allies on this journey to, what was I going to say? To this journey of setting yourself free. That's what I wanted to say. We have nourishment for you with the antelope and wheat. We have the elk and ash with strength. And I'm also going to pull your topic cards so that we can see where your journey is headed to, right? When we say about you setting yourself free, like where are you going basically? We have sublimation. We have Chiron. And we have for you wise salt. You are my spiritual pile. You are my spiritual people here. I will start with the topic and then we will look at your allies and tie it a bit together. I say you're my spiritual people because, the Peacock card spoke about spirituality or divinity made manifest in physical form. We have sublimation as your header, basically the head energy of this topic, or like leading the topic of you setting yourself free. And this card speaks about ascension. It can also speak about rising up and higher, gaining higher perspective. And it speaks about the two sides of the coins of rising higher, and the shadow side of rising higher, where you can feel separated from everyone else, and where, these are two separate things. One area could be where you feel separated from everyone else around you because you are higher, like you have a higher perspective, so it's sometimes difficult to relate. And a second aspect of a shadow side of this can be that you feel like you are above everyone else, or above the people surrounding you because you have a broader perspective, right? So the ego, the unhealthy ego can come in that door as well still. So that's the topic that the sublimation speaks of. Like I said, ascension, rising higher. And we have Chiron, so we have the wounded healer here for you. And the wounded healer speaks about the journey that we all go through, that we come here in this lifetime with specific markings in our birth charts. We're speaking about a bit about astrology here, about specific things in our birth charts that mark and predict a certain aspect of our journey, where the wounded healer is a healer that is wounded in its lifetime in a very specific way, cut in a very specific way, and through walking through their lifetime and working their way through their own wounds, discover that they themselves are a healer, and that the wounds that they once received themselves are the areas of work in which they are called to be of service. That's what the Chiron card speaks of here. So in combination with the ascension, we have you becoming the healed wounded healer, except when I say the healed wounded healer, that sounds a bit strange, and you can heal from the wounds that you have received, but you will always carry some of that essence of being the wounded healer. And that's essential, because that's the part of you that will then later on help you relate back to someone who has been or who is going through something similar that you've experienced, right? It's like you're becoming an expert in this particular area of being wounded, and you can then lead others along the way. And that's kind of exactly this sublimation, like gaining this higher perspective of going through this experience yourself. I need to change my camera battery. I'll be right back. I just spoke about you gaining this higher perspective because you've been through the experience yourself, right? So you kind of have that hindsight 2020 vision of seeing how everything is connected together, and that's the topic of this reading today. And with Wise Soul, this is of course referring to the wisdom that you're gaining along the way. And when we think about salt in combination with wounds, that is painful. Like salt, like having salt salt in wounds. I actually don't know. I don't think it's an expression in English, but in German we do have an expression which is called Salz in die Wunde streuen, which is literally like shaking some salt into someone else's wounds. And this is referring to inappropriate comments or hurtful comments that are intentionally placed to hurt someone even further, right? It's like, you know, their weak points, or you know something that they're going through, and you are inappropriately making things more painful for them. You know, that's kind of what this is referring to. And this phrase is coming to my mind because this wise salt, or this wisdom that you are gaining it not from reading in books. You're gaining it by life experience, and you're gaining it by a bit more painful life experience, I will say, like the life experience of the wounded healer. But even when you look at the way that these cards are kind of laying, you see here that we have like the red and the yellow highlighted. So we have the root chakra, which is connected to topics of feeling secure and safe, like having our most basic needs met. And we have the yellow, so the solar plexus, which is connected to feelings of personal power. And you see, this is kind of the topic that you're dealing with along setting yourself free. And once you've gone through this, you have like the whole spectrum, like the whole integration of this one aspect of this one wound into the full spectrum of yourself. So there's also like in a full alignment type of energy coming through here. With the allies that you have on this journey, you have nourishment and strength. And this is interesting because the nourishment card and the antelope speaks about not only nourishing yourself, but also nourishing your community. And antelopes are animals that are moving around in communities, right? They're rarely, like, they have safety in numbers. And you are on this journey of yours connecting to more and more like-minded people that are reflecting your level of ascension or your level of perspective, and you will nourish then each other. Until that point, you got the self-nourishment will always be your friend, whether or not you have that community coming in or not, you know what I mean? But that's a huge aspect here. And we have the strength. You have a lot of strength. Chiron energy and being able to move through Chiron energy requires a lot of strength. Moving through the Chiron energy to then retrieve and distill that wise salt out of that requires a heck lot of strength. Yeah. And we have the peacock, which I love because this spoke about all of this luminosity. This is, to me, for you, actually, this is almost like an outcome card, if you will. It's an outcome card as well as a reflection of where you're at right now, but this type of energy is almost a bit hidden. It's like yeah, let me look at the next few cards that we have for you. I have some cards about the story that you're telling yourself about this healing, and we have the moon in reverse. I'm just going to show it to you upright though. Okay. We have the strength card, which also came out in reverse. Actually, let me put it like this. We have the Knight of Wands. And we have the Two of Wands. Was also in reverse. So the story that you're telling yourself right now is that it's not possible for you. Because the moon in reverse speaks about releasing fear, but it also speaks about fear and being an illusion. And we have the strength in reverse. And actually, when I pulled this card, I did hear, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm not strong enough. I can't do it. That's a message that I heard when I pulled the card with the Knight of Wands. I mean, it's the only upright card that we have, and the Knight of Wands speaks about following your passions. It speaks about taking inspired actions and creating that which really ignites you. So this is the soul quest that you think is not possible for you to do because you have too much fear. It's like being frozen by fear, telling yourself that you can't do it, you're not good enough, like I can't do it. That's what I'm hearing, like I can't do it. With that intensity, like I can't do it. So, and it feels like, the energy just feels like a tight ball of just fear. And this one here also speaks about the fear of the unknown. Because like you don't know what's there. You don't know what's there. You don't know. When you're growing up and you're more in this current energy or more on the wounded healer side and you have not healed that yet, it's kind of difficult to imagine any other way of being because it's so ingrained in our personalities that it's difficult to imagine. And what's difficult for us to imagine, we tend to feel like it's impossible to reach, but also there is the fear of the unknown, and that there, like all of the self-doubt comes into that equation here. Okay. So you're telling yourself that it's not possible for you to follow your passion. It's not possible for you to create what you want to create. It's not possible for you to take inspired actions. And when I say like, yeah, soul project, like inspired action, that's spirit inspired action. So like soul mission. Let's have a look at how you can change that. Like what's a micro change that you can take on your journey to setting yourself free from that? And I got a few cards. The first one that we have is Stand Still. And the next one that we have for you is Labradorite, Wisdom, Intuition, Divination. Then we have Selenite, Purification, Moon Magic, and Energy Shield. We have Manifestation, Create the Life that you want. We have Gemaya, Goddess of the Sea and Mother of All. And we have the Dark Moon with Introspection. Let me rearrange that real quick. So the biggest micro change, the micro change with the biggest impact that you can do right at this time to set yourself free from this energy is for you to stand still. And I want you to take a moment and look at this card, because when we think about standing still, we're often thinking about freezing everything down and a barren landscape, and that's not the case for you. with this card, it's depicted as the swamplands. And the swamplands speak about an area of land that is flooded more or less regularly. So we have, when we bring that into our physical terms of a physical body, we get like an influx of emotion. But the swamplands are really, really important, and the ebb and flow of the water there and the floods are incredibly important because they are bringing a lot of nutrients into this area. Swamplands are actually one of the areas where we have the highest density of biodiversity, as far as I know, where it's a huge haven for lots of birds that are nesting there. We have a lot of plants growing there because it has a very unique properties of regularly getting more nutrient-rich water and like silt and all of these goodies that are flooded into the swamplands. So while this standstill can feel a bit exhausting, it is there to ensure a very, very rich harvest later on and to bring much needed nutrients to the area. What does that mean for you? Because you're not a swampland. This means for you that it's important for you to stand still, in the sense of take a moment and take some time, allow yourself to rest, to stop pursuing what you want to pursue, because clearly with the Knight of Wands there is a soul passion, a soul project that you do want to pursue, but you are being kind of in a bondage situation with your thoughts, because we get fear, just straight up fear, I can't do it, as a statement, a self-limiting statement, a self-limiting belief, and the fear of the unknown. And you are being called to temporarily stop pursuing what you want to pursue to address this. Okay, so this needs to be addressed. How are you going to address this? We will look at this in the other cards that we have there for a moment, and some action that you can take, but that's a micro change that you can implement on your way to setting yourself free. Because this intense fear and I can't do it is coming from the Chiron energy. It's coming from you being a wounded healer and the wounded healer being a bit louder at the moment, right? So there's some healing that is asking to come into your life right now, something that needs to be addressed. And what needs to be addressed is this fear of the unknown. It's this self-belief that I can't do it, as well as just general fear that you have about moving forward. So you're being called to stand still, take some assessment of what's actually going on. It's kind of this question of, when are you telling yourself that you can't do something? When are you telling yourself you can't do it? And when are you experiencing this fear? It's having an awareness for that kind of area, because it will guide your ascension process. It will guide your healing process. It will guide the wisdom that you're developing, right? So it's not a standstill that holds you back, but it's something that will nourish the future healer that you are, the future leader that you are, the future, it's like infusing the wise soul that you are extracting from it, right? It's a stepping stone, or one step along the path of becoming this healed Chiron energy. So it's not holding you back. It's like you're adding another ingredient into your fridge that you will later on use to cook a whole meal of nourishment for everyone else who's going through what you've now gone through, because you've extracted that. That's the image that they're giving me. And the additional messages that we have here for you with manifestation and labradorite is, I want to bring them up for you right now. to see is that when you are allowing yourself to stand still, because you have this deep spiritual connection and you are tapped into that energy, there actually is a lot of wisdom available to you. If you are listening to your intuition, you're allowing yourself to listen to your intuition. It's incredibly difficult to listen to your intuition when you are in a state of fear, be it fear of the unknown or fear in general. It's very difficult to hear that voice because we need to have a certain sense of calm. That's why coming to a standstill as well is really important, to allow yourself to nourish yourself, to be able to hear that voice, to hear that intuition. With manifestation, create the life that you want. These two go hand in hand because this intuition is only ever going to give you a little piece of information about the journey that you can implement. It will never tell you the full journey, and it doesn't need to. It will tell you the next step, and you can allow yourself to be guided by that. It requires a faith or a deep faith in this divine connection of yours and trusting yourself. And that's why the standstill is the first microstep. The second step that goes alongside this is to allow your intuition to speak to you. What can you learn? What are you hearing when you are, for example, journaling? Could be something that you can do. You can write down a question. You can do some automatic writing for some of you. Some of you are also tarot readers yourself. Go and ask your tarot cards. You can do guided meditation. It's all of these more spiritual infused practices that you can turn to allow your intuition to speak to you. But again, it's important for you to come to a standstill first, to stop this wheel from turning and just allow it to be for a moment. Take a step back, reassess, and then see about this fear and how you can make it a bit easier for you. Because when it comes to fear, we say that overcoming fear, or how do you overcome fear, is more the question that is at the center of this reading. And you come over fear in two parts. The first part is you are acknowledging what's going on. You're acknowledging the fear, feel this feeling. The second step is that you are understanding this feeling. You're understanding where it comes from, which experiences does it tie to, which will then help you to release these emotions, release these experiences, and release this hold that it has on you. And then the last step is to step out, because you can only heal this type of fear of stepping out and creating to a certain extent by yourself. There's one aspect of healing is stepping out and sharing what you want to create yourself. That's like a part of the healing aspect, but that's kind of a bit further down the line of this journey. So you don't need to force your system into a shock by trying to brute force your way through that. You can take a much more gentle, much calmer approach to this by first coming to this standstill, allowing yourself to tap into your intuition, and then just bit by bit working your way through that. Because like I said, you working your way through that is an integral part of the wise salt that you're collecting along the way. So you don't need to be overly harsh with yourself. With selenite, purification, moon magic, energy field, some of you would benefit from doing some energy work and getting someone involved in that, some kind of energy work or whatever you're interested in. Working with that. You can also work with moon magic in the sense of whatever you want to release. You can do some full moon releasing rituals on that. You can also do some new moon rituals on bringing some new affirmations in, right? We have create the life that you want. This is creating from a centered point in yourself, like a centered aspect, like a centered stand, grounded stand. And this grounded stand is the one that is connected to the soul essence. And in order for you to hear that voice and to be able to create that and follow that, this more of the fear energy needs to be a bit healed first. like released first. We have Goddess of the Sea and Mother of All. And this is a card and a message for you to mother yourself a bit. Like I said, you don't need to overwhelm yourself. That's why we're doing this reading as well, is to not to give you too many changes and too many steps to do, because you don't jump straight into, like from feeling that kind of fear, you don't jump straight into, let's do every massive action I could possibly take in order to follow my passion and follow my soul project. You know, be gentle with yourself. Take care of yourself like a mother would. Be gentle. Allow yourself to experience your emotions. Come to a moment of rest. Allow yourself to analyze them a bit. And then, you know, like the wave, like it's time to let it go. There is no force on our planet as potent when it comes to releasing and holding on and releasing and holding on than actually the imagery of the ocean and the waves. You might also benefit from listening to some ocean recordings, some ocean ASMR. That could be like really nice and soothing for yourself to listen to while you are feeling these feelings and allowing yourself to experience that. And then we have, yeah, like I said, the last card with introspection is for you to ask yourself about the origin and asking yourself and your intuition for some more insights. What can I do with it? Where can I go from here? And just now as I looked at my camera, I just saw 2222. So I think that's a significant number for some of you. But yeah, that's your micro change. Stand still. Allow yourself to feel. Allow yourself to stop for a moment. And then from there on you can start to listen, move forward in a more productive manner when it comes to your soul journey. All right. I love this reading. I wish you all the best. I know that you can do this. And I do have 2 more things coming out this week as for the support for you. One will be an EFT tapping session surrounding holding yourself back and setting yourself free. And the second one will be a 30-minute Reiki treatment where the Reiki energy will cleanse and heal your system in whatever capacity is ready to. If it's already out, you will find it in the pinned comment and the description box down below. And thank you for allowing me to read for you. This was an absolute pleasure. If you enjoyed this reading, please leave me a like. I would love to hear how this resonates for you as well in a comment down below if you want to share with me. And if you like my energy, consider subscribing. Because like every week I do this. Every week I have a tarot reading where I tap into the energy. Based on the tarot reading, I'm doing an EFT tapping session because I am an EFT practitioner as well. And a Reiki treatment because I am a Reiki healer. All right. That's what I have for you today. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye.